What's up, painting friends? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stoof, and today we're going to do a painting of a cute little kitty cat looking up into the light right by a window. This video was requested by one of my subscribers, so this one is for you. So my materials for today are an 8" by 10" canvas panel. We also have my palette paper here. This is disposable palette paper. And we have acrylic paints today. We have ultramarine blue, magenta, cadmium red light or cadmium free red light, flesh tint, titanium white, yellow oxide or yellow ochre, burnt umber, burnt sienna, light blue violet, and Mars black. I also have a cup of water. I have some paper towels. Viva paper towels work best for me. And then my brushes today. I have 6 brushes here, but I'm not sure I will use all of them. The angled brush is just to block in shapes and colors in the beginning. We have a liner brush that's going to be nice for the whiskers on the kitten and the eyes, little bits of fur right around the eyes and ears. This is a frayed angled brush. This one will be nice for the hairs that are looser down at the base of the painting. Angled brush, also good for those looser hairs. A round tip brush I might use a little bit for just blocking in some colors and shapes. And then this angled brush I feel like will help me with some fur as well. I'm going to use the grid method here just to try to keep things a little bit more accurate. I'm starting with my little angled brush, just taking a little bit of my light blue violet, and every 2 inches I'm going to put a little tick mark here. Now we've got a general grid going. You can already tell that these are a little smaller than this, but it's okay, not a huge deal. We're gonna start by just blocking in the shape of the kitty. So I have a grid on my reference photo as well, and I'm just gonna look at the grid on my reference photo and sketch what I'm seeing in that grid onto this grid here, so that'll match everything up with my reference photo. So we have this one is kind of where the face, I just thinned down some of my black paint with water so I can get some nice quick and even brush strokes here. Little nose. Doesn't quite come to the halfway point between there and there. Come down like that though. This bit of the face comes down like that. Got a little mark right here. This is kind of all highlight, really bright. You start to see some little spots in here. Got right about there. Little shadow. This is all a shadow over here, especially the nose. This is all in shadow. So by just kind of blocking in the shadows, that'll help to get things accurate from the beginning. Let's go over here. Got like an eye socket there, a little tiny bit of the eye is showing. And the ear, so about right there, got lots of fur, and comes down about halfway, like that. Got an eye here. The eyes can be pretty tricky. Just want to make sure we get the right size and shape. Something like that. And then there's a little eyebrow. Let's see if this came up high enough. I don't think so. Little eyebrow starts about right there. That looks better. And there's a little shadow kind of there. Or just some black fur in there. And then let's get the little bit more of the eyelid there. Might feel like it takes a while to get the initial sketch going, but that will save you a lot of time in the long run if you get everything accurate. Got a little line here, just some black fur. Again, just blocking in some darker shadows. Basically everything down here is in shadow, but this is the actual black fur. It looks a little strange right now, but you have to trust in yourself because I know I'm following the grid and it's gonna look great once we start throwing in some actual colors. Got lots of loose fur over here. Lots of dark and light fur here. This is probably going to be the hardest part, right above this eye. And then the fur starts to come up. Got an ear right there. Some shadowy, darker fur. Got this little shadow right in here for the ear. And then basically everything from here down is in shadow. Everything from there down on the cat is in shadow. Yep, all dark down there. Alright, and I think I'm just going to make this background be dark greenish color. So we're going to take some ultramarine with our yellow and brown and black. Always forget how strong that black is. Add our yellow back in there and some blue. And we'll add some flush tint and see if that'll help us out a little bit. Looks good to me. Alright, so we're just going to block in this section behind the cat, the background, with this darker color. Using our angled brush, helps us to get right up by the edges, but also get some really good coverage. You just want to go right up or slightly overlap the outline of the kitten. And just fill in all this space with this color. And it's actually a little bit lighter over here. So I'm just gonna get a little lighter at the top and kind of come down, and this will be important later. All right, now we're going to work on the cat's ears and face. So I'm going to take, start with this brush, my little frayed angled brush. And we're going to start with just some white with a tiny dab of flesh tint, a tiny dab of yellow oxide. It's a little too much of that. It's actually a little too colorful. But we are going to use that. So I'll just wipe down your brush real quick. We'll just take some white, pure white. That's what we're working with in the picture, so that's what we'll go with here. And the section, there's the nose. So it's going to blend a little bit with my background color. And that's okay because I'm going to have a bunch of little fur sticking out of this, so it's okay if it's blending a little bit right now. So now I'm going to take the extra paint off my brush and I'm going to just kind of push, just do a little back and forth to make it look a little bit like fur here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but make it a little bit more like that. Alright, now we're going to blend that lighter color with our white and put some of that right here above the nose. Just kind of do some little sweeping motions with the brush to show like you're getting some hairs painted there. Grab some more white. We'll get this section right over the eye. This angled brush really helps to get that hair look. And I'll take some more of that white, blend in a tiny bit of that lighter color, and we'll fill this in here for the ear. I went a little over my mark, and that's okay. Just start to make it look like we've got some hair there. And now, I'm gonna go back to this angled brush. Let's do the eyes real quick. So we're gonna take some black. This eye, can't see too much of, it just kind of comes out a little bit there. And then this eye, we have the dark part here. And then we have all this dark fur over here I'm just going to put in there. And then in the actual eye, we've got a little shadow. We'll take some light blue violet with my black and some flesh tint. I'm just going to put this right up against the black. A little bit more light blue violet. the shadow there. And then we're going to take our yellow oxide with burnt sienna. Put this down here. Fix the shape a little bit. Add some more white. I'm actually going to switch to my liner brush because it's a little easier to get the littler details in with the liner brush. A little flesh tint in there too. And take a little bit more white with just can't remember the name of that color today, with my yellow oxide. And I'm going to go back to this light blue violet color. I'm going to add a little magenta in there and get more purple. And a little bit more burnt umber. Can go right in here. And I'm going to take my white and put a little highlight on this eye. You can't see much of what's going on over there, but just got like a little teardrop highlight. And there is like a little highlight on the fur too. I'm just going to take a little more yellow. A little bit of black got in there too. And just go up here and get the white covered up. And if we just take some whites right there, you can use that with the liner brush to get these little hairs. Coming back over to this eye, I'm going to touch up the black. Just refining the shape. Looks good. Okay. And then we've got a nice white highlight right here. All right, I'm liking it. Now let's go back to the angled brush. Take a little bit of black, mix it with some brown, umber. Throw a little bit of that in here. Right in front of here, there's some dark color. And a little bit more black as we get to this spot. Right behind the nose. we still got that brown. I'm gonna mix a little bit of my light blue violet in there. And then we'll just take white with light blue violet and a little black. Maybe a little bit of oxide too. And that'll come right down here. All this shadowy part. Mix some ultramarine in there too, darken it down a little. There's no right or wrong way to go about filling in all of these colors and shapes. It's usually a little easier if you start with things in the background and work your way up to the foreground. But I'm kind of doing this one as my eye catches something and wants to work on it. Take some more black for right here. And when you're working fur, it's a little bit nicer to work into things as the paint's still wet. You can get a little bit of a blend if you want to get a transition between the two fur colors, like right here. Get a little bit more on the purple side. Down there. Mix a little more of our white in there at the top. Get a little more oxide and blue and black. More black. Value's pretty dark over here. And I'll take even more black on the brush, swiped it down a little. Just touch this black section up again while I still have this other wet paint around it. Got a couple little darker sections in there, but you can't see too much of what's going on because it's so dark on this side. What else? Got some dark fur in here, a little bit more brown. Kind of blends right into this. Darker in here, front of this ear. It's pretty dark back here. That's where it helped to lighten up that background a little, because now I have a darker value for the ear, and the ear still stands out enough. Black, blue, magenta, Got our dark purple color going again with a little bit of yellow oxide in there. Take some pure black, just blend it in random spots. So like I said, it's just pretty dark back here. And this isn't really the focus, so it's not a huge deal if it doesn't look perfect. Take some more black for this section down here. It's pretty dark. Definitely got some black fur in there. I'm just pushing the paint around, letting it blend with the other colors. Start to want to get a little bit more brown up here. Kind of want this to blend in with these. We'll switch to our light blue violet, blue, flesh tint, and yellow oxide. Some more black, some more flesh tint and magenta, and maybe a little more light blue violet. And we'll start to add more. You can blend this in a little bit. Can add more light blue violet and white to help bring this back up into the color that we had. Let it blend down. And I'm going to add a little more white to this. Just going back and forth, covering up all the white space. The way that you orient your brush stroke is important. It kind of shows the direction that the fur is going on the cat. So I'm trying to make a couple adjustments there. It is tricky to see exactly what the hair is doing down here. Seems like on this side it's kind of going this way, and then it's coming straight down, and then that way on the back. Take a little more ultramarine. Now that I got these highlights in there, I'm going to go back with the black, touch up some of those a little. Just going back and forth really quick with the brush. All right, looking good. Get a little more brown in here. just to fill in the spaces. All right, now we can move down to this white fur down here. I'm just gonna take some pure white. There's a little bit of black in the brush still, and a tiny bit of yellow oxide or ochre. I'm just gonna start with that. I think I'm actually gonna use this brush that's more frayed because it'll let me get a little bit better looking fur. If you guys watched my wolf painting tutorial, this was like my favorite brush for that tutorial. Anything with lots of fur, a frayed angled brush is great. And the way you get the brush to be frayed is by not taking care of it. If you let it dry with some paint on it, oil paint, I don't know if that would work with acrylic, but with oil paint, if you let it dry, and then you go and you wash it out really well, then your brush will be nice and frayed. Or you could just really aggressively use it for blending. That will also get your brushes really frayed. Alright, so we got that nice little base layer there. Now I'm going to take just some pure white and we'll make that be our highlight. And you can take some sienna, just kind of blend it in with these other colors you had down here. Just seeing a little bit of lighter brown kind of making its way in here. Just want to get that in there. And then we can go back with our black and gray color and kind of go over those littler spots. Alright, now let's move up to the nose. I'm going to use my liner brush again here to get a little bit more accuracy. Start with some umber and magenta and cadmium red light. And we just got a little spot right here that we have that color for. That's it. Got a little shadow there. And then we've got like a flesh tint color up here. And then it's basically just white. I think I'm gonna do white with a little flesh tint to give it something. But that's what we've got. Right there. There's a little black spot, blackish line right there. And the rest of this stuff is all nice and highlighted. Just touching that up with white. Can do the same thing down here. And I'm gonna thin this paint down some with my water. And we've got like a little streak of tiny feathers, just like not feathers. What are these things? Whiskers. Yeah, there we go, whiskers. Tiny little whiskers there, or fur. And I'm gonna blend a little bit of light blue violet in there too. A little more water. It's gonna make it look a little more translucent. And just kind of carry this highlight down. Just go back and forth, adding these little bristly hairs with the highlight on them. A couple of different directions. I don't want them all perfectly parallel. Alright, I like that. And next, let's go to, we want white with some oxide and, somehow blue got in there. White with oxide and burnt sienna. I'm just gonna thin that down a little too, and we're gonna put this here. Basically goes up and like that. Then we want some more burnt sienna and some umber, maybe a little bit of yellow too. And that kind of follows this line with highlight and shadow. Got some straight brown here. I want to blend into that darker color. And you can take a little bit of your light blue, violet, and gray, get a little bit something there. And you could take a little bit more white. There. I think I just want to change the shape a little bit here. Put that little shadow in there to help build the shape of the nose a little more. That looks good. And then let's work on this section. I'm going to go back to my frayed brush, and we're going to use this lighter color. It's got a little bit of gray in there. Just go right up to the eye. We want the brush strokes to go from left and right side of the face and up is kind of how it's going. Take a little bit more brown. Make it look like the bristles are kind of tying from the side of the face and starting to go up. Want a little bit more dark color there. And I'll take some light blue violet with brown. Just blending a little bit more of my lighter color here because there's a little highlight in the fur there. And it gets back to the darker color. Got our black right in here. And then this highlight right here. It's into the ear, just back and forth. Gonna blend that down into the ear. Back to this lighter color, it's burnt sienna and white and some flesh tint. Do a little bit of yellow too. We've got lots of that right here. Blending in a little bit with that black, which is fine. Got a little here. Fur's all kind of sticking up right in front of the ear. And the fur's pretty light right under the eye here. Just gonna put that down, blend it in a little. Just using this frayed brush to give me a little bit of the hairs that are like kind of more highlighted over here. A little bit of that color in here too. Got a little blend of colors down here. With some black and brown, this little section here. Just get that shadow a little bit more defined. A little bit more here. So we got lots of black in the ear. There is a highlight in this part of the ear right there. And we've got a little highlight down here. Well, not quite a highlight, but a lighter colored fur in shadow. Frayed out a little bit. Alright, well, we got most of the white space off the canvas now. I can take my liner brush and start to tweak some things and make it look a little more realistic. I'm going to take this white with a little bit of these colors over here, and we're going to add a highlight under the eye. And we'll go back to the black. Touch this up. I'll blend a little bit of brown in here. That blend down, and we got a little bit of some spots in there. Not spots, stripes. Just using my little liner brush and pulling all these little hairs out into the shadowy part. A little bit more black right in here. And we've got these spots in the fur or hair. I just want a little highlight there. Got a little bit of these colors right in here. And we got some white in there too. Just tiny little bristles. More little highlights right here. And got these little strands of brighter hair or fur kind of go over the eye just a little bit. And we also get them coming up here. And I did a little bit of this with my angled brush, but using a liner brush we'll get these teeny tiny little hairs that are in here. Helps to get them to go in the right direction, show which way the fur or hair is oriented. And then I'm just going to bring this down with some brown. It's kind of continuing this fur, but it's getting darker and into shadow more now. Got a couple in here. Carrying them up all the way to this spot. Take a little more white. Let's get a few more highlights up here. Okay. Let's do a little bit, just a little bit over here. Touching up this ear again. And we got lots of hairs in the ear, so I'm gonna start with those, a little bit of gray. Just mixing in here. Just gonna get, helps if you thin the paint down with some water to get those really nice thin lines. The hairs are kind of going all over the place. So this painting is really tough if you don't have a liner brush. It's not too bad, like time consuming wise, if you're using a small canvas, but if you use a big canvas, it's going to take you a while, and if you don't have a liner brush, you're just going to be a little bit frustrated, I think. Because the liner brush is very helpful for all these little hairs and furs. Got all these little whiskers here. I'm just very, very gently pressing to get these whiskers. Gonna go back to the black. Sneak a few more of these little black spots in here. Blend that down. Getting a few more of these shadows, and we can go back to our highlights now. These little whiskers and bits of white fur peeking through here. And I can take my frayed brush again, and let me just go over my color down here, adding a little bit more to get this to blend in a little bit. A little bit more of our yellow right there. Could do a little bit more with our liner brush, using some brown, black, and these two other colors we just had there, just to get these a little bit more defined. Add a few more highlights. Take a little more white. Some of these are pretty bright. Gonna touch up the bottom where my arm banged into the canvas and made a little bit of a mess. Alright guys, that is the finished painting. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you for requesting this painting tutorial. This was a gorgeous little kitty cat to paint. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. If you have any recommendations for future painting tutorials, then leave a comment under this video, or you could follow me on Instagram. My page is Steph Moraca Fine Art, and you can message me a photo that you would like me to turn into a painting tutorial. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more of my painting tutorials. Have a great day and happy painting. Bye bye!